begin with breaking news this half hour out of South Philadelphia. Police say 3 women are dead after a shooting along the 2800 block of South 10th Street.
And investigators saying this all started after a heated confrontation. We know that all 3 women were shot in the head. At this point, officers believing the shooter shot those 2 victims and then turned the gun on themselves.
Action News reporter Brianna Smith live for us now from police headquarters with what we know tonight so far. Brianna.
Well, Shari and Gray, we are working to learn more from police about the women and their relationship. Also, while detectives were investigating, we saw several devastated loved ones outside crying and consoling one another. Philadelphia police and loved ones surrounded this South Philadelphia home for hours on Monday after 3 women were found dead inside. Police say a woman shot 2 other women before turning the gun on herself.
It was a Monday evening in South Philadelphia, a quiet block. Row houses, neighbors who have lived side by side for years. The kind of street where people know each other's names, know each other's faces, know each other's routines. At 5:32 in the evening, on June the 22nd, officers from Philadelphia's 3rd District responded to the 2800 block of South 10th Street. The call was a report of a person with a gun. When they walked inside that row house, they found 3 women. All 3 shot once. In the head. Philadelphia Fire Department medics arrived within minutes. They pronounced all 3 women dead at 5:38 p.m. 6 minutes. From the moment medics arrived to the moment 3 lives were officially declared over. 6 minutes. The 3 women were a grandmother, her granddaughter, and her sister. They lived together. In that house. On that quiet block. In South Philadelphia. And one of them had taken the lives of the other 2 before taking her own. Welcome to Midnight Case Files. Tonight, we are going inside the house on South 10th Street, inside the family, inside the neighborhood, and inside the question that nobody in South Philadelphia can answer tonight. Why? Stay with me. South Philadelphia, one of the oldest, most tight-knit communities in the entire city. A neighborhood with deep roots. Italian-American families who have lived on the same blocks for generations. Row houses that have been in the same families for decades. Streets where neighbors are not just neighbors, they are extended family. The 2800 block of South 10th Street sits in the heart of that community. A residential stretch of row homes that, by all accounts from the people who live there, is, quote, a very quiet, nice neighborhood. Those are the words of Joanna Schofield.
You just don't hear about things like that in this neighborhood. You know, it's just a very quiet, nice neighborhood. And I've been here 30 years. That's a shame.
A resident who spoke to 6 ABC Action News Philadelphia on the evening of June the 22nd. She was one of many neighbors who stood outside in the rain as police and medics worked the scene, as loved ones began gathering near the home. As word spread through the block that something unthinkable had happened behind one of those familiar front doors. 6 ABC reporter Christy Ailedo was live at the scene Monday evening, standing in front of the row house as crime scene tape stretched across the sidewalk. She confirmed that officers had found 3 women inside, all shot, all related, all living together in the same home. Joanna Schofield told Ailedo and the 6 ABC cameras something that has stayed with everyone who heard it. She said, "I'm very sorry. I can't even imagine it. I can't even imagine it." And then she said, "I'm shocked. You just don't hear about things like that in this neighborhood." That is the sound of a community that did not see this coming. If you're new to Midnight Case Files tonight, this is what we do here. We sit in the stories that the news cycle rushes past. We take the time that these families deserve. Hit subscribe, hit the bell, and stay with me, because this story is more complex than any headline has captured so far. 3 women, 3 generations of the same family, living under the 3 women. 3 generations of the same family, living under the same roof in South Philadelphia. Janice Picano, 67 years old, a grandmother, a sister, a woman who, based on her Facebook profile, which has been reviewed by multiple outlets, including the Daily Voice, lived a full life inside this South Philadelphia community. Photos on her page showed her with family, with her granddaughter, with her sister. The ordinary documentation of an ordinary life, that ended in the most extraordinary and devastating way. Philadelphia police have identified Janice as the shooter in this preliminary investigation. She is the person believed to have fired the single gunshot wound to the head that killed her granddaughter, the single gunshot wound to the head that killed her sister, before turning the gun on herself. 67 years old, a grandmother. That detail alone stops you cold. Angelina Picano, 18 years old, Janice's granddaughter, just 18, her whole life, quite literally just beginning. Old enough to vote for the first time, old enough to make her own choices, old enough to dream about what comes next. She lived in that house, with her grandmother, with her great-aunt, 3 women under one roof, a living arrangement that in South Philadelphia's tight community culture is not unusual. Families stay close. Families stay together. Angelina Picano was 18 years old, and she was shot once in the head inside the home she shared with the woman who raised her. Let that sit for a moment. Denise Grottini, 55 years old, Janice's sister, Angelina's great-aunt, a woman who, according to her own Facebook profile, also reviewed by the Daily Voice, was embedded in the same South Philadelphia community, living with her sister and her in the same South Philadelphia community, living with her sister and her grandniece. 3 women, 3 generations, 1 household, gone in the space of one Monday evening. Here is what Philadelphia police have confirmed, and I want to be precise here because this case is brand new and the investigation is still in its very early stages. At approximately 5:32 p.m. on Monday, June the 22nd, 2026, officers from the 3rd District responded to a residence on the 2800 block of South 10th Street following a report of a person with a gun. When they arrived, they found all 3 women inside the home. Each had suffered a single gunshot wound to the head. Philadelphia Fire Department medics pronounced all 3 dead at 5:38 p.m. ABC News confirmed in their national report on June 23rd that a preliminary investigation determined Janice Picano, 67 years old, fired the shots that killed Angelina and Denise before taking her own life. Each victim, 1 shot to the head. The precision of that detail is what makes this case so disturbing. This was not a chaotic scene of multiple wounds, of a struggle, of a fight that escalated. 3 women, 3 single shots. The deliberateness of that is haunting. The Philadelphia Police Department's homicide unit has taken over the investigation. As of June the 23rd, the motive remains completely unknown. Police have not confirmed whether there was a history of conflict in the household. They have not confirmed whether there was a prior history of mental health crises involving Janice Picano. They have not confirmed where the gun came from, whether it was legally owned, or how long it had been in the home. What we know is the outcome, and the outcome is 3 women dead in a row house in South Philadelphia on a Monday evening in June. Hit that like button right now. This video needs to reach people. Angelina was 18 years old. 18. She deserves to be known as more than a statistic. Hit like and keep watching. In cases like this one, the question of why is everything. And right now, nobody has the answer. The Philadelphia Police Department's homicide unit is actively investigating. But in the immediate hours and days following a case like this, where the person believed responsible has also died, the investigation becomes profoundly different from a standard homicide case. There is no suspect to interview. There is no courtroom where answers will be extracted under cross-examination. There is no trial where a motive will be laid bare. There is only the evidence left behind, the phone records, the personal documents, the conversations remembered by neighbors, friends, and extended family. The contents of that house on South 10th Street. What drives a 67-year-old grandmother to this? That is the question that Midnight Case Files, and frankly all of South Philadelphia, is sitting with tonight. Was there a financial crisis? A health diagnosis, Janice's own or someone else's in the family, that sent her into despair? Was there a family conflict that had been building for months or years and reached a breaking point on the afternoon of June the 22nd? Was there a mental health history that went unaddressed or untreated? We do not know. Not yet. And we have to be honest about that. What we do know is this. When a person makes a decision like this one, It almost never comes from nowhere. There are almost always signs. There are almost always conversations that happened or didn't happen. There are almost always moments where someone thought something seems wrong and didn't know what to do with that thought. That does not mean anyone is to blame for what Janice Picano allegedly did. The responsibility for this lies with the choices made in that house on that Monday evening. But understanding the why matters, not for judgment, but for prevention. Because somewhere in America right now, there's another family living inside a pain so private, so heavy, so unspoken, that it is building towards something terrible. Understanding Janice Picano's why might help us find that family in time. By Monday evening, neighbors were already gathering outside the crime tape in the rain. 6 ABC Action News Philadelphia, whose reporter Christy Ailedo was one of the first journalists at the scene, captured the raw emotion of South 10th Street in real time. Neighbors standing in groups, loved ones arriving, people who had lived next door to this family for years, trying to make sense of what they were being told. Joanna Schofield's words to 6ABC have been the most widely quoted reaction from the neighborhood, and they tell you everything about the community that is now grieving. She said, "I'm very sorry. I can't even imagine it." She said the neighborhood is quiet, nice, the kind of place where you don't hear about things like this. And that is the particular cruelty of what happened on South 10th Street. This was not a neighborhood that had been bracing for violence. This was not a block where residents locked their doors in fear. This was a community built on familiarity, on longevity, on the kind of trust that comes from knowing your neighbors for decades. And it was shattered in 6 minutes. The extended Picano and Grottini families, who have not yet made public statements, are now left to grieve 2 women they loved and to process the incomprehensible reality that the person who took them was also someone they loved. That is a grief with no roadmap. There is no template for how you mourn a grandmother who killed your sister. There is no support group specifically for this kind of loss. You are grieving the victims and grieving the person believed responsible simultaneously, and the world does not always make space for that complexity. If this case is sitting heavy with you right now, that is the right reaction. Subscribe to Midnight Case Files. Share this video. The Picano and Grottini families deserve to have their story told with care and completeness. We're going to keep following this. As of June the 23rd, 2026, here is where the investigation stands. The Philadelphia Police Department's Homicide Unit is actively investigating. This is a preliminary determination, meaning the conclusion that Janice Picano was the shooter has not yet been formally confirmed through the full forensic investigation. Autopsies will be conducted by the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office to officially confirm the cause and manner of death for all 3 women. Investigators will be examining the gun, its ownership, its registration, how it came to be inside that house on South 10th Street. They will be reviewing phone records, financial records, and any personal documents that may shed light on what was happening inside that household in the weeks and months before June the 22nd. They will be speaking to extended family members, neighbors, and anyone who had contact with Janice Picano in the period leading up to Monday evening. Because there is no surviving suspect, there will be no criminal trial. There will be no arraignment, no charges, no courtroom proceedings. The investigation's purpose is not prosecution, it is understanding. Giving the Picano and Grottini families the clearest possible picture of what happened and why. That process will take weeks, possibly months. Midnight Case Files will be here for every development. Before you leave tonight, I want you to think about 3 women on a quiet block in South Philadelphia. Janice Picano, 67 years old. A grandmother, Denise Grottini, 55 years old. A sister, Angelina Picano, 18 years old. A granddaughter with her whole life ahead of her. They lived together. They shared a home. They were family in the most literal sense of that word. And on a Monday evening in June, they were gone. We don't yet know why. And that uncertainty is one of the hardest things about this case. Because we want answers. We want to understand. We want there to be a reason that makes sense of something that feels completely senseless. Sometimes those answers take time. And sometimes they never fully come. What we can do is pay attention to the people around us. The grandmother who seems quieter than usual. The family member whose eyes have gone somewhere else. The neighbor who hasn't come to the door in a while. Sometimes the most important thing is just asking, just showing up, just saying, hey, are you okay? If you or someone you know is struggling, please reach out. Call or text 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Free, confidential, available 24 hours a day. Drop in the comments. What questions do you have about this case? What do you think investigators need to find to understand what happened in that house? Like this video, share it, subscribe to Midnight Case Files, and remember their names. Angelina Picano, Denise Grottini. This is Midnight Case Files. Stay curious, stay compassionate, and never stop asking why. Subscribe, like, share, comment your questions below. Updates on this case coming. Hit the bell.